Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. This is our Entrepreneur Express Tip episode. I'm your host, Annette Walter, and this is the place where I share weekly business tips in 5 minutes or less to help you regroup from your week and prepare to launch into next week. Let's get started. Hey there, entrepreneur. This is our weekly Entrepreneur Express Tip. I'm so excited you're here. This is the place where we recap our week, and I always share a common theme, and I drop it in a business tip that helps you regroup from your week and launch into next week, and I do it in 5 minutes or less. This week's topic is boundaries. This has been a reoccurring theme this week. I've seen it in my coaching sessions. I've seen it in my team. I've seen it just with vendor relationships, and it is really a powerful topic today. So I'm going to dive in real quick, okay? Let's talk about boundaries. Oftentimes, we set boundaries in our work, okay? And when the boundaries are not violated, but when the boundaries really aren't respected, that's when people can get highly triggered. And what happens is they automatically throw up another boundary to kind of rebuttal in the state of having their boundary disrespected. Okay. So bear with me as I walk through this topic because I've seen it happen multiple times this week. So first of all, when you have a boundary, you need to make sure that you communicate it clearly to everyone involved. Because if you don't effectively communicate, and I'm not talking, that it's in your head and you time block. I'm talking that you in a real, authentic way, communicate what your timing is, your deliverables are, your boundaries for that relationship, okay? Next, set the expectation, okay? So what are the expectations of what you'll deliver, and what are the expectations of what the other person in that relationship will deliver, and what are the expectations for growth, okay? And here's the next part. Make sure you do check-ins, okay? Because oftentimes what happens is when you aren't doing check-ins on your boundaries, on what's working, what's not working, you're not making changes along the way. So if you're not making the changes along the way, if you're not evolving, then it's going to turn into an eruption of emotions because chances are one party on one side and potentially both parties are not feeling like the relationships and the boundaries are working, yet the communication and the check-ins aren't happening. So it turns into a situation where the boundaries just need to be rechecked and looked at by everybody. Okay, so make sure you're communicating them clearly, make sure you're setting expectations, and make sure you're checking in. Okay, these can't be one-sided things. These can't be things that only live in your world that you feel like you're in control of without someone else in that relationship, and whomever else is in that, whether it's someone on your team, whether it's you're a client, or whether you are, maybe it's one of your clients, okay? So make sure that you are really, really looking at those three things: communicating, setting expectations, and checking in. So here's what happens when a boundary is violated, okay? There are people that are flexible about boundaries being violated and open to the communication. They aren't as triggered as some people can be. And there are people that are basically not flexible at all. Okay. This is a black and white deal for them. Okay. So we've got the gray and the black and white. So oftentimes what happens is, as a coping strategy, people that have their boundaries violated, they will automatically be triggered and then throw up another boundary as a coping mechanism, okay? So when they feel as if their boundary has been disrespected, violated, whatever the reason is in their world, automatically they throw back the tactic of throwing another boundary in place. And it might be just completely out of nowhere, okay? So what happens is when you feel like your boundary is just not in check, okay, you need to make sure you go through these steps, okay? You need to make sure that you acknowledge the feeling of triggered, okay? So when you feel triggered, you have to acknowledge what is happening. This takes a cool down state. Okay. This takes a state of walking away from it. And, sometimes writing down, I feel triggered, and basically just acknowledging that feeling. Okay. It's a very emotional feeling. And again, it can be really black and white for some people, and it can be really gray for some people. So acknowledging that you're triggered and cooling down. Okay. And then once you do step away and cool down, looking at it from all perspectives, understanding all of the views involved, and really thinking about it from a logical standpoint and rational standpoint, and understanding and gaining all of the perspective. What am I doing wrong? What is this person doing wrong? What went wrong here? What was working? What wasn't working? How did we get to this point? All of those different types of things. And then here's the last thing. You need to talk it through with the person and the relationship and the vendor, client, teammate, whomever it is at hand, and talk it through. Okay. So this is when email does not work. Okay. This is when you pick up the phone and you show up and you have the vulnerability. You really are, talking it through in a sensible way. Okay. I saw this happen. I had a coaching call this week where, someone was really trying to deliver, the most that they could to a client. And she was in tears because she had said that she could do something, and it was basically killing her behind the scenes, taking time away from her family, taking time away from her children and her husband. And, the client had broken her boundary, and she was feeling completely broken behind the scenes and didn't know what to do about it. So we walked through it. I coached her through it. And we acknowledged that she was in a triggered state, and she had thrown up another boundary in order to rebuttal the broken boundary and the triggered feeling that she had felt. And then we analyzed it and understood it from all the different perspectives once she had cooled down. And then we put together a respectful script that basically was going to call the client and say, I just want to talk this through. I know that I sent you a response of what I can do, but you're not going to get all of me. You are simply not going to get all of me. And I need to talk this through to make sure that we come to a win-win situation that works for you and what you're trying to accomplish, but also works for me with the basic demands and workflow and where my business is right now. So it's interesting because I know that this topic is going to ring true with a lot of people out there, because again, I only bring you topics that I see as a reoccurring theme. And this has popped up multiple times this week, in different coaching sessions and, a lot of different relationships out there, team building, those types of things. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And always you can email me or schedule a breakthrough session. My email is urock@ievolveconsulting.com, and make sure you leave a 5-star rating. Those really mean a lot to me, and write a review. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. I hope it makes you better. I hope it makes you stronger. I hope it helps you keep evolving on this evolution, entrepreneur. I am so proud of you, and you are doing it. I am your biggest fan behind the scenes. I want your growth more for you sometimes, and some days more than you want it, feel it, know it, and see it. And boundaries is a really, really great topic. If you're feeling misaligned right now or out of whack, take a look at your boundaries, reset them for where you are and what works for you, but make sure that you're communicating them effectively, setting real expectations, and checking in with those that are involved so that you don't feel triggered. And in that state where you have to throw a boundary right back, just kind of as a defense, that you are really, showing up, being authentic, being vulnerable, being real, so that true growth can truly happen. Keep evolving, entrepreneur. I am so proud of you. See you next week.